The analytics industry in India is about 30 billion US dollars. So this 30 billion US dollars is including domestic market and the outsourced market. So 30 billion US dollars means, if we look at today's exchange rate, it comes up to be about 2.27 lakh crore rupees. Pretty big, right? Out of this, the analytics industry for Indian companies is about 10%. So that is the domestic industry, which is $3 billion, while the rest is for outsourcing activity for other countries. In this outsourcing activity, USA accounts for more than 40% of the industry volume. The Indian domestic industry is expected to grow by about 2 times by 2025. So it is expected to become around $6 billion. There are more than 600 firms who are closely specializing in analytics, which are operating in India, and the number of firms are again just growing because of the size of the industry, which is growing. Also, when we look at the amount of money available to these startup companies or these analytics companies, so if we look at 2019 numbers, there was direct funding of USD $12.7 billion received by all the tech startups in India in the year of 2019. So yeah, these are some of the numbers regarding data science. So I think probably you should discuss a bit more about why there is so much hype around data science.
Absolutely. Okay. I chose only 3 of these items from my side as why it is so important. Why data science? Why are we dependent on data science? Why can't we just say that, okay, I know what I am supposed to do, so why do I need all kind of data science around me? Now, if you really look at what has happened over a period of time, I have seen my childhood when the globalization was happening around 90s, when even to find a, you can't find a shoe properly, which even if you find a Reebok somebody wore in my times, it was news when I was in college. But then once the globalization happened, everything opened up, and the overload of information and the products that we are seeing around us, whether it is through e-commerce, whether we go to a mall or wherever, it's just too much of options being provided. Similarly, if you see the content that is going around, okay, the news that you see, the social media bombardment on you, the distraction level of the people as of now, as even especially the youngsters, they feel they can digest so many different information at the same time. So how do they? How does somebody decide what information should be provided to whom based on their choice? So that's one of the pain area that need to be having a solution. The other area is demand fulfillment. For example, I need a specific product, whether it is an insurance product or whether it is a specific mobile or anything. So when I go to the internet, do I get a demand fulfillment based on some intelligence? Am I getting the best options through some intelligence? That's happening as of now, as we speak. And finally, you chose this digital governance in context with the COVID situation. I don't think ever in history we would have thought about an Indian government running its entire force using a digital method. Imagine the Jan Dhan Yojana helping out so many poor people using UPI, using online transfers. Look at the way we are using UPI as a method to transact as of now. So the digital governance and reach to the mass using technology is another reason why something like data science becomes so important to enable all these factors which I just raised. Data science become very important to make it a successful avenue. Tejas, why don't you give some more thoughts?
Yeah. So when we talk about data science, I guess it would be incomplete if we don't talk about at least one model, a simple example, how practically data science is getting applied at any industry. So let us now look at a simple example of a data model in banking and banking industry. So let us say there is an individual which is approaching a bank asking to issue a credit card. The bank does not take any collateral against usage of the credit card. So they are taking a risk by giving credit card to that individual. So how do they decide whether to issue a credit card or not? So what if there could be a model which will help the banks to predict whether the customers will repay the card outstanding amount regularly or he or she would be a potentially bad customer. Of course, such a model need not be or would not be 100% accurate, but even an 80% or a 90% accurate model will help the bank in a big way. So this will then make process of issuing a credit card a scientific process rather than just a gut feeling based process. So let us define the problem. The problem definition is, let's say State Bank of India wants to screen credit card applicants and classify them as either low risk or high risk. That is risk of default of credit card bill payment. Input is, now how do I create this model? So you always create a model using your past data. So let's say SBI can take past 5 years data of all the customers whom they have issued credit cards and whether they turned out to be good customers or bad customers, and then take attributes of those customers. So the output that we are expecting from the model is high risk or low risk classification. And the statistical model that I'm using here is what we call as discriminant analysis. So this discriminant analysis is basically used by credit rating agencies to rate individuals to classify basically them into good or bad lending risks. So this is my input data. So I have only chosen some basic parameters so as to make it easy for everyone to understand. The parameters that I have taken is, if you see the second column which says risk low high, this is 1 means low risk and 2 means high risk. So this is my already existing customer of SBI. So what this data says, if I read the line number 1, serial number 1, it says a customer with age 35, income 40,000 rupees per month, and number of years married 8, turned out to be a low risk customer. Okay, if I read line number 4, it says age 22 with 32,000 income and 0 years married, turned out to be a high risk customer. So this is the information which I am taking as an input to create a model. I am feeding it into the discriminant analysis model and I get certain type of statistical analysis as an output. Now I will not go into much of detail of the statistical analysis. You need not understand the statistical information shown to you, but I'll just give you some information in terms of the numbers which are there. So if you look at number 1, table 1, it shows you the equation or the model given as output by the discriminant analysis. If you look at number 2, it shows you the decision making criteria, which we will again see in the next slide. Number 3 and 4, these are talking about accuracy of the model. Now, I will not go into how I derived that accuracy percentage, but in this case, the model says that it is around 94% accurate in terms of predicting based on the input provided to the model. So the output of the model is, if you see this line, it says low risk is minus 1.37 and below, high risk is plus 1.37 and above. And this is the equation. This is a simple equation. Risk, which is y, is equal to 10.0036 minus age into 0.24560 minus income into 0.4 times 0, then 8, minus years married into 0.08465. So how do I use this model? Once you create this model, it is very simple to use. So let's say if an application has come with an age 40 years, income 25,000 and married for 15 years, then risk is equal to minus 3.09015. Now since minus 1.37 and below is low risk, so I will classify this application as low risk and I will give the credit card to that person.